intended for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed are those of the panelists and do not reflect in any way those of the podcast partners, sponsors, or affiliates. Enjoy.
Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and you're listening to the Voice of the People. Let's get ready for Boxing Voice.
Hey, Daddy, this is $1 beat.
BoxingVoice.com. No matter what nobody say, man, spirit, can't nobody fuck with me, man. You know, I can't be fucked with, you know.
Beyonce Productions.
Whether you pay to see me win, or you pay to see me lose, you're gonna pay. Fuck it, your kids still gotta eat. I don't have to watch, any footage of a fighter. I mean, because I'm Floyd Mayweather, everybody gotta watch me. I knew eventually I was gonna have to fight Oscar. I feel like he was straight up and down, no special effects. BoxingVoice.com. How can Canelo have the biggest deal? Your deal is for $300 million, and I made $350 million just in one fight. And you're fighting on the app. BoxingVoice.com. I'm a king, okay? I eat a feast. Every time I eat a feast. And when I get up from the table, I don't give a fuck who get the leftovers. At the end of the day, follow my green print.
Beyonce Productions.
BoxingVoice.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Boxing Voice Radio. I am your host, Nestor Gibbs, and I am joined alongside the crew. We're back to talk some more boxing during the COVID times. Even though boxing is gone, there's still plenty of news on a daily to talk about and discuss. And we're going to be talking today, Mayweather, is the comeback totally out of the question? Especially with the recent passing of Uncle Roger Mayweather, it seems like Mayweather admits as much in recent interviews. So we'll go over that, obviously. Then we have Derrick James, the trainer of Earl Spence, the IBF and WBC unified welterweight, who says that maybe the time isn't right for Crawford and Spence right now. Maybe the money isn't there. Is he admitting Crawford is too risky? Or is he saying Crawford remains irrelevant until he fights someone? Then we got Caleb Plant, accusing Benavidez' camp of not wanting the fight right away, after referencing in an interview with Sampson Lew that they were, okay, I got plenty of, something about Sampson. I'm assuming this is the old thing that Sampson put out there and was like, he was not, he didn't think that Benavidez was ready right after Plant's fight with Feisenbutz. But then we got Dana White and Steven Espinosa going at it on Twitter over UFC 249 and the COVID protocols and testing and what a fighter could, I guess, complain or not complain about. Then we got news and notes to discuss, so if you're interested, you know the number to call in, 1-425-569-5241. Press 1 one time. Voice your opinion right here on the Voice of the People hotline. Don't forget to add Nestor Gibbs on Skype to be part of that conversation. Let's go.
I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Legs is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody like me. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from their claw. There's no one that can match.
Chip! Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Sunday, celebrating all the moms, las madres. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And we got a couple of things on the docket, man. Pretty interesting. Floyd still managing to stay in the headlines and stuff, and him still being active as a trainer, and saying that it's okay for Spence, right, to think that he could beat him in his prime. So that's what he wants these young fighters to be like. And, we got a couple things that we got to cover. So, Marioski.
It's me, Mario.
What is up? Happy Mother's Day to everybody's moms out there. Man, big weekend. This weekend was pretty crazy to watch the UFC put on such a crazy big time card that had like really good fights, and there not to be any like crowd, and I really didn't miss it too much. I think that's definitely I got used to it. I'll just put it that way. And honestly, at the end of the main event, as great as a main event as it was, and it was an amazing main event, I didn't feel bad about, like, it didn't make me think any less of the fight. All I did was think, man, I wish there were people that could have saw that live. You know what I mean? So, like, my whole thing was with the fans. It wasn't with the fight. I enjoyed it. So, you know, on the flip side, that tells me that boxing could do this and do it at a high level. But, yeah, we'll chop up, you know, some of the things behind the scenes that Steven Espinosa and Dana White were talking about. It's actually a pretty big topic that it's kind of, I'm not going to say, like, dirtied UFC 249, but it definitely kind of brought something to light that we definitely need to talk about as far as the contracts that they're signing and disparagement and things like that. So we'll chop it all up.
Well, let's take it from the top. None other than the king of boxing himself, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is back in the news, and I guess we want to end up like my Uncle Roger Mayweather quote. Seems like a comeback is probably off the table. You know, he made it clear that he will not come back to face a boxer. That he did say. So McGregor and I guess Tin Shins are still allowed, but, you know, he's not doing anything when it comes to a boxer. And I guess I'm a little bit saddened by the news. I'm going to go ahead and say that I do believe it. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I think that the comeback in terms of boxing is totally gone, and it does have everything to do with the recent passing of Uncle Roger Mayweather. And, yeah, I think that's why we're seeing the evolution of Floyd Mayweather the trainer rather than Floyd Mayweather the fighter.
Yeah, Floyd, I mean, how old is Floyd right now? He's in his 40s now. I was just looking it up when you were finishing up. But the whole point is that, you know, we were talking about Mike Tyson. We talk about all these guys right now coming out the woodwork, the heavyweights, you know, being a little older. And, you know, the major topic is just safety, man. And that's it right there. Obviously, we've always gave Mayweather his merit, you know, for keeping in shape the way he has. You know, he's just lived that life, that clean life. So it's like we always want to see Mayweather, you know, in there back competitively. Like Ness was mentioning, you know, the tensions or whatever are still out there. He can still do some fights where, you know, he can create a buzz, you know. And it's crazy because we're talking about exhibition fight, you know, that he had over there with Tension. And it's like he got paid, what was it? I forget the numbers, but don't quote me, 10 million or something like that just for that fight out there with you know, it's like a 3-round sparring match where he, you know, KOs the kid and makes him cry. So, bringing him back, I don't know. You know,
he was crying. That was funny. I did forget that he was crying.
It was like defeated, you know. But you could just never, especially because of his shape, right? That's why I am gonna say what I'm gonna say right now is because he's such in good shape. You can never just count him out. He could say this, and then like he could just be opening a back door to where they're like, "Yo, in order for them to ask me to really come back and fight competitive, they got to give me a huge check." You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I put some thought. Maybe I'm digging too deep into it, but yeah.
Listen, I'll put it like, first of all, he is 43 years old. I don't know if you saw me throwing my hand signs up there trying to get your attention.
I thought he was throwing signs at me. I'm like,
oh my bad.
Está rifando.
I didn't want to interrupt. So, and checked it for you as well. Mayweather got a guarantee of $9 million for the Tension fight. Now, that's definitely, he made more than that. Like, we all know that. But he did get a $9 million base pay. You know, whatever he got in for the back end. I'm not sure if that's available. But, it was $9 million. So, look, I'm going to tell you like this. Is he done? That's the question, right? And I'm going to say yes. He's done, but not in the sense of like permanent. Like he's done right now. There's nothing on the horizon. You know what I mean? He did say that he wouldn't fight any boxers really. You know, his exact quote regarding his uncle was when they talk about Floyd, yeah, Floyd's going to fight this guy. and this guy and that guy, I say this: you guys fill up little arenas and do some little baby numbers. Not bad. But I'm older, a lot wiser, meaning I don't want to end up like my Uncle Roger, end up like a lot of fighters where you don't know when they're going to hang them up or when you don't know when to hang them up. End up when you're fighting for others rather than fighting for yourself. Even with the Conor McGregor, that was smart on my behalf. It was also smart on his behalf. He said, you know what? Even if I can or can't beat Floyd Mayweather, let me at least try and share the ring with them so I can make more money than any MMA fighter or any other fighter except Floyd. So even if we did it again, it's entertainment and it's business. And that's what I'm going to say. Is he done fighting? Yes. He will never face a boxer again. He will never come back and face Spence or Crawford or the winner of Spence and Crawford. He won't come back and fight Canelo. Pacquiao, I think there's a little hope, but it's almost dead at this point. He is looking for events. He is looking to all his career, he has wanted to protect that O and make the most money possible. And he's done a brilliant job of that. So now he's entered a phase in his career where he doesn't want any damage to that O, but he also wants to make career high paydays every time he goes out. That is a very special fight. And there are no fights like that out there for him. I don't even think Conor McGregor does that much again. He would have to beat a Mazadov, who's a wrecking machine in the welterweight division, or he would have to beat Nate Diaz, or he would have to go back and beat Khabib. He's got way too much in MMA going on.
So that's where I was going, Khabib, because Khabib was mentioned in that whole fantasy fight with Mayweather before. And, that's a huge fight for Mayweather, for him to come back and fight Khabib. I mean, huge. 150, million? No, excuse me. How much?
I don't know, man. Khabib's not that Conor McGregor type where he talks and you want to see him get his face smashed, or you can rally behind him. Like, I love Khabib, but, his English is a little choppy. He's the kind of guy who he doesn't do this for entertainment. I really think he would smash Floyd in a press conference if he went too far.
His style is entertaining though.
His style's entertaining for sure, but I just don't think that he has that. Like, he's not thinking like Floyd, like, I'm going to go and bring out his girl and it's going to be funny. Like with him, it's like he takes a lot of stuff really to heart. And the other thing is Khabib is dangerous in the octagon because he's a full-fledged MMA fighter. He has very few holes in his ground game, in his striking, in his clinching. So what would he do in a boxing match with him? With Conor, at least he was putting dudes lights out, and you could show those replays. Yeah. With Khabib, it's a little different. He's a ground and pound master.
Well, that's why I put him in there with Floyd Mayweather, because that's the kind of guy that it's appealing. This guy's
but don't you just gotta show?
And he beat Conor too.
That's what I was gonna say. Don't you just gotta show him beating Conor and everything's okay because of that?
No, he's the man right now. Ness. Khabib is the man. He got like 26 million followers too.
But I mean, to get him, I guess it don't matter if you got 26 million.
Yeah, I'll bring up the actual number.
Wow.
No, he's like crazy big after he beat Conor, especially, and like he's the man right now, and that's why Mayweather and him were being talked about and on the media.
Damn, does Conor have 20 something mil? I mean, I remember Conor had a lot when him and the Floyd were doing. I think he was even ahead of Floyd. But while you guys are checking those stats, let me just bring it back to Floyd.
20 million. I'm sorry to interrupt. 20 million he got. This is my cousin.
Let me just bring it back to Floyd. I don't think he'll fight anything dangerous like that. But when asked about, or rather Floyd talked about. All right, let me see how I can do this, right? In an interview, there were some comments made where Earl Spence said that he could beat a prime Floyd Mayweather. So rather than Mayweather reacting like, man, there's no way, and, get people riled up about a fight that'll never happen, he simply said Earl's supposed to feel that way. And I like it, but typical Floyd, in my opinion, this is how I am interpreting it. It was backhanded because he says, I'm proud of him. He's supposed to believe in his skill. He's supposed to believe in his talent. I want all these fighters to believe if they were facing Floyd Mayweather, they would win. But he goes on to say, you can't just live boxing for 8 weeks and train in training camp, said Mayweather to Fight Hype. And the article suggests that it was a shot at Earl. I'm going to say it was a shot at more than just Earl, because it's not just Earl. There's signs of other people living the boxer life only in the 8 weeks of training camp. So he goes on to say, this is a lifestyle that you've got to live your whole career. I was disciplined all around the board as a fighter. No drugs, no smoking, no drinking. I lived a clean life, and I worked extremely hard to be the best. And I respect the guys from the past. I take my hat off for the guys that paved the way for me to be where I'm at, because I didn't start boxing, but I mastered it. You got a lot of fighters that come along, but can they articulate like Floyd Mayweather? And that's, I think, what he means by, I don't want to end up like Roger. You know what I mean? He don't want to slur his words. He don't want it to be no funny business. But he goes deeper into the substance abuse, and I quote, do they have the will to win like Floyd Mayweather? The charisma, the flash, the arrogance, the cockiness, the blood, the sweat, and the tears. So many things. Will there ever be another Floyd Mayweather? I don't know. But if a fighter abuses certain things and gets up in their 30s, continues to fight these young lions, and it's not going to happen. It'll catch up to you. A lot of these guys are a lot older. Remember, I was a superstar at a young age, self-made. I earned my stripes. So he do sound gone, man. He ain't trying to get in no fight with no young boy, man. He trying to get them big paydays, and I understand him, man. He done enough. He's done enough. You know, if he could give us a little big cross promotion fight like with the UFC again and bring more eyeballs to boxing, thank you.
Yeah, look, I'll bring it back to the main issue with this is that, he's in a position where he's definitely not at all wanting to come back and fight these young guys, and he shouldn't have to. He's in his 40s. Like, what are we talking about right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, is he that good that he could come back and possibly beat one of these guys? Sure. But, at his age and the lifestyle he lives, like, I don't know if he wants to put in that much work to get back to where he could be, and he's in the gym all the time, and somebody's going to come on and say probably, look, he's always in shape, so it's never like a big leap for him. But that's not true at all. You know what I mean? The kind of shape that Floyd gets into, the kind of rigorous training that he has, no, that's not the same as going to the gym, hitting the pads a little bit, or doing the pads for somebody, hitting the heavy bag a little bit. It's just not the same. And so, I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't have interest, because I have absolute interest in watching Floyd Mayweather fight one of these guys. But I just think that he's at a point where the likelihood is going to be a Khabib or a Masvidal or a McGregor or one of these guys in the UFC that is just a wrecking crew and steals the imaginations of fight fans. And that's what Conor did.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say my last 2 cents on this Mayweather thing, man. It's gonna take a lot of money for him to come out and fight, an exhibition, quote unquote, tension type match, or even like a real box. It's gonna take a lot of money. So, yeah, if it don't make money ain't going nowhere. He's chilling, man, and enjoying his time. I could imagine, a 25-year career. I don't know his whole life. Being that disciplined, I know it's got to take a lot out of you. You know what I mean? Like a lot of time away from your kids and everything else in life. So just come out every once in a while, get this money, and beat an MMA guy every other every other year.
Yeah,
I don't know
just
anything
wonder
about
if
that other dude.
I just wonder if these guys could get to there. I would love to see you know, Floyd fight again, but I just don't want to spend my money on him beating the hell out of Khabib or Conor. You know what I mean? Like,
because the MMA, it's always, and maybe I'm wrong, right? But it's not just MMA versus boxing, but it's like it's a thing. It's become a thing for a while. Ever since fucking James Toney went over to the Grande Couture, got his ass whooped over there. It was like it was a bad taste. They left, and then other fights happened, but it's that one side versus the other attraction, MMA versus that. And those guys hold Khabib as like the man, those MMA fans out there know that he's like the one that smashes you into the freaking canvas, pounding you and all that. So it just, it's fun. It's fun. I'm pretty sure that the guy that Mayweather fought over there, Tinshin, was like the man out there and probably like a new prospect or whatever they had going for that kid. But
yeah, listen, I hear you. I just like if there's anybody I think that not ready right now, I don't think the money's there, obviously. But if there's anybody I could see getting there, it's actually Masadov. I think that he's got the entertainment value on the mic. I think he's definitely got the resume in terms of being, a bad mofo type of guy, no cussing. I think that he also has the ability to beat the people in UFC that would make him a viable option in the eyes of Floyd Mayweather. Like, does he reach Conor McGregor heights? I don't think so, but I think he falls just short of him. And so if there's anybody that I think could get there, I think it's him. But that's the thing is a lot of this has to do with Conor. If Conor fights somebody and they have a great fight and they produce fireworks, it's going to steal the imaginations of a lot of fight fans, and then that winner, do they go on to, create more moments that lead to a Floyd fight? I don't know, possibly, it could happen. But at this point right now, the smart money is on, we never see Floyd fight ever again.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think he was pretty clear. It's going to take some fake fights to get him back. But speaking of fake fights, the real one, right? Derrick James is saying that there's no money right now for a Crawford Spence fight. And I guess Mario is posing the question here. What are you posing here, Mario? What are you suggesting here? That good old Derrick James, let me see. He says, is he admitting Crawford is too risky, or is he saying Crawford remains irrelevant until he fights someone?
Basically saying the money ain't there yet, The fight hasn't built itself to be that money fight yet.
My bad, I was on mute. Listen, what I'm posing is the question is this: is the money too high? I mean, I'm sorry, is the risk too high for what the money that he brings? Or is he saying that he just doesn't bring enough money, period? Like, to me, those are two different things. Like, is he too good for them right now? And the risk just isn't there to walk into a fight where, you think it's a 50-50 and you're not going to get paid accordingly to possibly come up with the loss? Or is he basically saying that Spence isn't, that Crawford is a nobody, that Crawford doesn't bring any money to the table? I think those are two different questions, but that the response, I think it poses both of them.
I think it's that it just hasn't built itself up yet. I guess, Crawford, still has to have that marquee name, quote unquote, that everybody keeps talking about now, and it's true. It could build up a little bit more. They're both champs. They both beat decent guys. It's just that Earl with the Porter test and passing that test. You know what I'm saying? And making that such a good fight. It's just that's what we got in our minds, like Earl's done it. He's gotten, like, we believe him, we believe it. And not that we don't believe that what Terrence has done is also incredible. Remember, we forget what he did at the 140-pound division, and he transferred over to the 147, and now he's doing what he needs to do here. But we need those top 5 guys, those elite guys, so that he can just hit the nail in the coffin already with and dead that story about him not having some guy that's worth the talk.
Yeah. So let me read the quotes real quick. That sparked this debate. This is Derrick James, the trainer of Earl Spence, talking to BoxingScene.com, and he said, "The money for the fight, from my perspective, is not there yet. Promoters can put whatever they put up, but they're in the business of making money. And if the money's not there, especially anytime soon with this coronavirus crisis, and most people who buy these fights are not working right now, this will be something that happens down the line. It just pushed the fight back a little bit further, I think. But the money's not there right now. My perspective is the numbers aren't there, so we'll see." And look, is he right? Yes, he's right in the sense that the kind of fight in our minds that this could be does not match the possible revenues that could come from it. Does this break 1 million? Does this get anywhere close to, the top 5 all-time pay-per-view numbers? I don't know. Probably not on both of those questions. That said, though, we got to understand that we're in a different era than the Mayweather-Pacquiao era. And that's why Spence wants that Pacquiao fight, because those are the residuals left over from that era, and that makes the most money. He's the cash fight. But at the end of the day, we also have to understand that with coronavirus, the money has simply, I'm not going to say it's dried up because we don't know that for sure, but we have to understand that the money is going to be short for a while. So how much longer do we wait? Because in my opinion, the guy who ultimately goes on to become the next Mayweather Pacquiao and does reach the heights of 1 million pay-per-views sold is the winner of Spence and Crawford. We have to have these fights that produce these winners that people can look at as stars. And unfortunately, neither one of them are in a position where they've done that already. They've beaten some great fighters. They have. There's no doubt about it. But they just don't have that Mayweather-Pacquiao De La Hoya on their resume. And so perhaps the money is there if Spence or Crawford lands Pacquiao and then beats him and goes on. Then I can see that producing more numbers. But at this point, look, if they got to find out what Pacquiao's going to do. And if Pacquiao's not fighting any of these guys soon, which it definitely doesn't mean he's going to fight. Like, I don't think that he has to fight either of these guys. Then they got to move on. They got to move on, and they got to give us this fight. That's just the way I see it.
I mean, even if we were trying to get this fight now, like if that was the case, getting the fight, as soon as possible, it's always the gate money. It's always in other ways, but yeah, that's.
They can be like, all right, boxing's back. We're gonna go do Earl versus Spence. It's just not ready. Doesn't have anything to do with Crawford's numbers or Crawford's resume. That is not it. So Brandon, I screen shared, and he's saying it's obvious the Spence's team doesn't want it. Because he came out and said that he hasn't been living right, that he's been overweight and stuff like that in his most recent interviews. And I wanted to interject that as a topic, along with a second one from another Patreon, the Neutral Corner. So you might forget both of these, but he says Crawford should make the Brook fight at 154 and say Spence fought a weight-drained Brook. He fought him at his real weight just to talk shit. I don't know if the Neutral Corner knows, but this is a page out of Floyd Mayweather's blueprint, which he's already given young fighters, but they refuse to take it. In 2012, Cinco de Mayo, non-Mexican on the card, Floyd Mayweather took on then Miguel Cotto, Angel Cotto at 54. Miguel weighed in at 154. Floyd weighed in at 151. And that's what I keep telling these fighters of today. It's like, make the fight. You could come in at what you want if you're skilled. You ain't got to worry about weight. Like, if Floyd would have fought Triple G, he wasn't going to worry about weight, just like he ain't worry about weight with Conor. He ain't worried about weight with De La Hoya, and he ain't worried about weight with Miguel Cotto. But going back to the neutral corner, that would be a page out of Floyd's book. I like it if he fought Brook at 54 for bragging rights, to specifically say what the neutral corner is saying, because that is specifically what Floyd said to Pacquiao. I'm fighting Cotto at his real weight. That was the whole campaign of that fight. He weight drained him. We fight him at his real weight. We want to make sure he's 100%. So I like that angle. I really do. And, just to answer Brandon's other topic, right, where he says it's obvious that this fight ain't being made. Earl has admitted, I don't think it is. I don't think it has anything to do with that, because he went into the two of his biggest fights in his career like that. It wasn't until the accident knocked him into reality. He thought he was superhuman. So you're interpreting the interview wrong. When he was on his highs and he was the man pre-accident, he would do it that way because he thought he could. Now he's in quarantine. He was bed rest. He had time to think. Your mom should have told you, who your friends are when you're dead, in jail, or in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? And that's when he realized what was priority and where he was lacking. I don't think his team really knew. Now, intermediate team, yeah. But I don't think the powers that be that approve and suggest fights knew that Earl was struggling to make weight. You know what I mean?
I like the angle, though, 154. You got bragging rights on, that you got a strong Brook and you beat him up in a better fashion or whatnot. I mean, but let's not forget, Brook is still, he's still a dangerous guy. He's a good boxer. He gave Triple G some trouble in the first couple rounds or whatnot. So he's taking a risk going up to 154, man. It's not like he's going up and this is a guy who was a champion before and has been in there with some of the toughest guys. I think that wouldn't be a good move, but I like the angle. It's just you got to bank that he could kick Brook's ass. And it just all goes back to what have you done for me lately, and if you consider if he just a better boxer than Brook or Brook a better boxer than Aegis, it's all on what choice you make.
Well, I don't think you can completely ignore the factors that have come from the Spence side of things, where he's admitted that he wasn't necessarily living right or that he was losing a lot of weight in between fights, specifically for the Sean Porter fight. So I don't know. That has to probably do something with it. I don't think it's the full basis of everything, because there are valid points from Derrick James when he says that the money's not there. I wish he'd be a little more, I guess, explicit with it, like a specific, forward. He says that, is the money not there because there are other options that pay just as well, if not more? Or is the money not there simply because the magnitude of the fight, doesn't match the proceedings? Then okay, I get that. You know what I'm saying? But as far as not wanting the fight to happen right now based solely on money, sure, that's probably the big part of it. But you can't overlook the factor that, Spence has come off a car crash. He's admitted that his last few fights, there were things that he struggled with. And so, it's a lot that goes into it. I think that pure and simple, Spence is not ready yet. He's just not. He needs a fight, maybe even two, before he's in what they would believe is the physical equivalency to being back at his old self. Whatever that means, by the way. Because fighters grow, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but coming back from an accident, I get it. He has to kind of rebuild, reset, I guess, whatever. We'll have to judge him by his first performance.
Yep. I like the 54 though. If you're gonna do Crawford Brook, at 54 will make that a little sexier because, the fact that they bring him down to 47 is going to cause a lot of backlash because, Brook hasn't fought at 47 in a very, very long time. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I just think that ultimately, they have to have this fight on the horizon. That's my only problem with all of this, is that there has to be a set number of fights, and they don't have to come out and tell us. They never do, or rarely do. But as long as I know that they're not going to chase Pacquiao up the river like Amir Khan and Brook did. You know what I mean? Like Amir Khan chased Floyd and Pacquiao for so long that he realized that he's got to realize at some point that he missed out on one of the biggest career paydays of his life against Kell Brook. Like, simple as that. And I think to a degree still chasing him, which is.
Yeah. Did we lose both of y'all? You there?
What happened?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, was I off on that one?
I think it was all of us because I said that we lose both of y'all, and Alex, I couldn't hear him either. But yeah, we're back though. That's all that matters.
Got it. Yeah.
It was a quick second. Yeah.
So yeah, if we're gonna move forward, Plant is on Benavidez' heels.
Yeah, I think he's definitely. See what I guess what the reference was. Plant gave an interview recently to. It was a podcast with Michael Rosenthal. I think it was the PBC, and a lot of people are on him about not wanting to fight Benavidez, not wanting to fight Canelo, whether they understand what happened or not in those in the Canelo proceedings, like, it doesn't matter. They still view him a certain way. And he came out and said, look, I've heard his promoter, Sampson, say that they don't want to fight me until 21-22. My whole thing is that I don't mind that fight waiting until 21-22 necessarily. I mean, as a fan, I would love to see them fight now, but as somebody who understands the business, I don't think David Benavidez is even close to as big as he's going to get. I don't even know if he's reached he's probably reached about like the halfway point in terms of where his career is and where it's going, but they could absolutely build this guy into a star. And Caleb Plant has, a ton of star power as well. So to me, I don't want to rush this fight. I don't blame either of them. But is it fair that fans keep, basically holding Plant's feet to the fire on social media, thinking that he's the one that's ducking? I just don't think that that's a fair assessment of it all.
I just think that happens because there's more Mexican boxing fans than, anything else. So he's going to feel the heat from the Benavidez fans.
Yeah, he's definitely got a following, La Bandera Roja. He got a big following. He's popular. He's WBC champ. He got a lot of things going good for him on that side. So, Plant kind of had to earn his the hard way. And what I mean by that is that you had to accept him, right? He had to fight and really, really, really impress and make sure he didn't lose that O. And really, in the beginning, I remember in the beginnings when we first went to go see him live, Ness, I forget who he fought, man. Very first time I seen him. But anyway, point making that we've seen him grow. And after that, after he gained that championship belt, it just solidified, his talent. Solidified his talent. So, I think that is a dangerous fight now more than later for Benavidez, just because I see Caleb Plant as a better boxer.
Yeah, this has the makings to be like a pay-per-view at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are enough bodies that surround. Well, I shouldn't say that. Look, all I'll say is that I think that the way that promoting fighters works nowadays, to build them as the A side and allow them to kind of run through a crop of guys, you can build fighters that way. I think both of them still haven't reached the max capacity of that, and I think David Benavidez they're still finding how to market him in a lot of ways. He gives off so many different type of vibes in terms of demographics that he could reach. There's definitely like a youth vibe there where I think he connects to a certain demographic and a younger demographic that is often chased by networks and specifically like Bud Light, I guess I'll just say sponsors. Sponsors that want to see that 18 to 35 demographic, and he definitely reaches the Latin American fandom. And that's the thing to me, ultimately. I don't think he appeals. Like, there are a lot of guys out there that appeal to like only Mexican fans or only Puerto Rican fans or only Cuban fans. You know what I mean? I think David Benavidez has a really unique position where he appeals to Latin fans of all demographics. So they're not even close to building this guy up. And this could be a pay-per-view in 2 years' times. With Corona, who knows what happens, how long everything gets pushed back. But we're getting fights. They're coming back. June will have at least 3 cards that we know of, or at least that's the rumor from Top Rank, which we'll find out this week.
Nah, that's happening in June. I've seen
it's
Top Rank fighters.
They haven't announced the fights.
Yeah, but top-ranked fighters are already like, June, like, they throwing it out there. They already got the word, so they training.
I would disagree with 22, but I'm okay with 21 because what you guys just said right now is this COVID stuff. You don't know how far off. The boxing schedule got pushed so far back now that fights are going to be basically tumbling on top of each other to get into schedule, venues, and all that other stuff. So I'm good with 21. Maybe middle of 21, if not the end of 21, but 22. I mean, look, who knows, right? But the sooner the better. This is a great fight, and considering everything that's going on, I'm not mad. I'm not mad if it happens in the middle of the 221. They're gonna need a tune-up. Obviously, though, the longer that we're out with this COVID stuff, people are gonna need a tune-up because you could only do so much in sparring. Some of these guys could really come off of sparring and go into a big fight. Others are not going to want to risk it. It's going to be a touchy subject.
Yeah, and they'll feel the heat too. The difference between this fight and one with like Stevenson and Kovalev is, with Stevenson and Kovalev, I mean, they were on opposite sides. You know what I'm saying? This was like full scale, like they just weren't there. I mean, that wasn't just the networks. It wasn't just the promoters. It was a lot of difference. I mean, they were worlds apart. Okay. So that fight didn't happen for a variety of reasons. With this, they're both under the PBC banner. Despite the fact that, they've worked on different cards and stuff, but that's much more pressure to the fight from the fight fans when they're under a single entity. With Gamboa and Lopez, there was constant pressures from fans and media. When were we going to see these guys together? And Bob heard it all the time. Top Rank heard it all the time. These fighters heard it all the time. Once you start to solidify yourself and you're under the same, not just under the same division, but under the same brand, because I'm not going to use the word promotion or network, but just under the same brand, where it's a possibility and where it can happen much easier than going across the street, like we like to say, then it just holds that feet to the fire more, and they're going to hear it and they're going to get more and more demand. So during this time until 2021, 2022, because I'm not really turned off by the 2022 remark. I'm okay with that just because of where we're at with COVID and not knowing where we're going to back on top of each other. So, did I go out for a really long time or what?
I mean, I was listening to you.
I don't know if
we
kind of froze up.
You.
We froze a little bit. Yeah, we froze up a little bit though. I see it.
You know what?
Not too long, but
I think I got a clue though. My daughter's home for the weekend, and she has to. Let me tell you, untitled moment right here. She has to have 3 devices running at one time. She's
she's plugging it. She's plugging in to the Matrix.
She's FaceTiming a cousin, and then doing something on Roblox on the iPad, and then needs the laptop too. And it's like, whoa. But,
tell you straight swordfish style, bro, with the 4 or 5 screens and shit. Like,
my niece is 11, and that's 100% what she does.
They're gonna be so much better than us at technology. They are so much better.
Yeah. She's into the TikTok thing, man. So that's where she's at.
I'm conflicted still.
I mean, my niece, same way.
I've actually had that TikTok app on loaded into my phone for so long, but like I erased it the other day when we really got into the China stuff, being sent over there to their server. So like I've been conflicted at opening one, but it looks fun, man. It looks like a lot of fun, the TikTok stuff.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I watch it, and I've been watching it for a long time, believe it or not. But I've never had a TikTok. I watch it on YouTube. Like I watch compilation videos, and that's the way I came across it. Was somebody was showing me something on a I was
Yo. Damn. Really? It's got to be them because the chat is moving and everything, right? Or is it me? I just seen the neutral corner right. Rel said, what's going on? Rel, you hear me? I don't know. We experiencing some difficulties. But yeah, the chat is working, so it's got to be them. They probably have a bad connection or something. Or not. I see they hear me in the chat. They said they hear me. So I'll reconnect with them, see what's up.
Plant and Benavidez, okay. Let's say, in a few months we go back in there and fights are happening, even if it's...
guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I don't think it's me because the chat could hear me when you guys were gone. I had to end the call and reconnect. Which is funny. Maybe it could be a software thing, not even a Skype thing, like the actual streaming software. But yeah, we lost you for a long time.
Oh wow! So we haven't been on this whole time.
Yeah, I got messages like, "Yo, what's up?"
Damn! We were talking the whole time. We heard you.
Really?
Yeah, we heard
the whole time. I was even responding. You were like, "Yeah, they hear me on YouTube." Yeah, I was like, "No, they hear you. The video's on." But I went back and checked the audio. There was no audio.
Insane, bro. Insane.
I don't know.
Insane.
Bro, electromagnetic storm. It snowed the other day. There's a lot of weird stuff going on.
What you mean? I'm right here, champy.
I know. You just froze, though.
That's insane. I don't know. Well, like I was saying, Rel said losing everyone. So yeah, maybe it's choppy now, or let me check my app see if there's an outage in the area, which I hate to see, right? Because it's like, how many times do you get outages in the area? But I was just gonna say, as far as Plant and Benavidez, I'm with Mario. I don't think that I think that they can do with some time apart to grow the business of it, man, and the allure, man. Like, who really, like, people call in for, Crawford and Bud. That's the same person. Crawford and Earl, and who else?
Well, of course, heavyweight matchups, Fury and Wilder. Wilder, Joshua.
People call in for those. They're not calling in for Plant Benavidez just yet. So yeah, man. I mean, they just have to keep plugging at it, keep fighting, and building that. They're doing a good job with Plant, and he's doing a good job himself in terms of the fights that they're putting him in. He's looking good. Benavidez needs to do the same. He did that with Anthony Durrell, but I don't know how many people still have that Ronald Graville first fight in their mind or, in the back of their head.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. I just don't think it's there. And not only that, like I was saying, I think that David Benavidez is really starting to come into his own just on a swag and like really his whole style and his whole brand and what he brings. I just think that, he's going to be a much bigger star. for sure. And like, I don't know if you heard me earlier. I don't know if they cut out earlier, if I cut out. So I'm just going to repeat this real quick. What I like about him is that he isn't like a demographic in a specific Latin base. Like there are certain fighters that appeal more to the Mexican fans, more to the Puerto Rican fans, more to the Cuban fans. Okay, good. Yeah, he's a guy who's got mass appeal. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like Teofimo, right? Because, unless I was just blind to the fact that there's that many Hondurans in, Brooklyn.
No, I agree 100%. Teofimo, same thing.
Yeah, because like I know the Heights is like Dominican and Puerto Rican. I never even, I don't know, Lower East Side, all like I don't know an area where you can say like, yeah, go to such and such, and that's where all the Hondurans be. It's like,
Got you. Yeah, I think too, a big part of it is, I don't know. I don't really even know much about the East Coast to even say that, but yeah, Teofimo definitely falls into that category. So I just think that the Latin community, not community, but the culture's on the rise. Back in high school, I don't know anybody that ever listened to merengue or bachata, and now Anuel, Bad Bunny. I mean, these people are becoming household names. Like Anuel's becoming as big. He's bigger in terms of numbers than anybody. Even than Drake. That might be the only person he could compete with him in terms of the American audience. But Anuel is global. But he's starting to become a huge thing in America. Huge. And I think David Benavidez falls into that demographic very, very well. Where whatever the appeal that people haven't seen from the Latin community in the past, that they're starting to see and recognize and see the dollars in it, they're going to see that same thing in guys like Teofimo, guys like David Benavidez, guys like, what's his name that we had on, the top-ranked guy, the Puerto Rican from New York.
Edgar Berlanga.
Yes, Berlanga. Yes, Berlanga. Same thing with Berlanga. I think these three represent, or they have in them what people are starting to see outside the Latin culture and really be drawn to them, which brings dollars.
Yeah, no, listen, the Berlanga got that Danny Garcia swag to him, so, he's going to do well in the New York City area. He's just got to keep winning, He's got to keep winning and looking good, man. I just want boxing to come back already, man. This June thing got me slightly excited, you know what I mean? Looking like we're going to get something out in Florida, maybe in June. But last topic is the Dana White and Steven Espinoza battle, beef. They
verbal sparring.
Yeah, I could take it over. Not sure if y'all got to read the article that I sent, but yeah, essentially what happened was UFC 249 went off last night. And it was thought to be a success generally. The fights were great. Everybody practiced, the procedural COVID prevention that we had come to expect, like masks and distance and no audience and stuff like that. But right after the UFC was done, Eric Magrikin is how I guess to say it. He is a he's a combat sports injury lawyer and managing partner of a law firm in Canada. He claimed that all parties involved with UFC 249 were, and this is in quotes, 100% satisfied with the measures taken regarding testing protocol. That prompted Steven Espinoza of Showtime Sports to come out and tweet, and he said, it's because they were required to sign a document which says they can lose their whole purse and bonuses if they say anything negative about COVID protocols. Now, that is what they're referring to as the disparagement clause in a fight contract. Dana White came out and said that's not true. First of all, there is something in the contract for disparagement. There's a non-disparagement clause in there, and that's all in all of our contracts. So they did have disparagement clause, but they also had a non-disparagement clause, according to Dana. Now, there is a typical clause when it comes to non-disparagement, things that you can't say about the activities that are in connection with fighting, testing protocols, just certain things that they put in there. But as far as COVID goes, they can't come out and say, yo, I'm not happy about the testing, or yo, y'all know they're doing this or they're doing that. Like, it's kind of like an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Right. But they don't want you disparaging the company that is signing you to fight. You know what I mean? Like, they're paying you to fight, and then they don't want you to say anything negative about them. So that prompted ESPN, who has a deal with Dana White's company, UFC, and they put out all their fights. And the pay-per-view last night was an ESPN pay-per-view.
And we lost them again. What in the world?
When it comes to disparagement, god damn, dude, don't tell me I was out this whole time.
Nah, just when you said when it comes to ESPN pay-per-view.
Yeah, okay. So then ESPN put out the article on non-disparagement clauses and what they look like and stuff. And so, it goes back to the whole thing with Dana White and Arum saying that May was too short of a time to get fights in. Dana accused him of being broke and not being able to put on fights, which obviously is not true because they're coming in June and they're having it. But to me, it prompts the discussion, what is fair? What is right? These fighters, they got to fight, right? Some of them to make a living, and they need these fights. Henry Cejudo, who is one of the biggest fighters in the UFC. Triple C, he is a gold medalist and he is a champion at both the flyweight and bantamweight weight classes, won last night. And came out and thanked Dana White. And, he retired, but he thanked him for everything. He said the event was great. He said that they did everything wonderful in terms of, testing and all that and the protocols. But it goes back to the fact that, well, can they even say anything? Like, are they not allowed to say anything? So, it just goes both ways. They're putting their lives on the line. So you should protect their lives outside of the punching and kicking and submissions. But at the same time, if you're willing to sign up, like that's what hazard pay, is all about. Guys that drive trucks with, thousands upon thousands of gallons of diesel fuel in their back and, an accident happens and they're gone. That's hazard pay. You know what I'm saying? You get paid to do something super dangerous like that. So in this case, you're getting paid to do something during a time that's dangerous. So should there be understandings between the fighters? Should they know that, hey, I shouldn't bite the hand that feeds in this time because we all got to get on?
That's what happened. I mean, look, any of these fighters that actually said okay to wanting to fight on this card, anybody that participated on this card because of COVID, obviously had special new things added to the contracts that had to do with disclosure and, how they handle things and all that stuff, just to in protection and reputation of the company as a whole. So it's like, if you agreed to fight, you knew you knew the things that we were going to, you obviously were privy to information too, where they said, well, this is what's going to be done. And if you were a fighter that was concerned, you would bring up anything, and say, okay, well, I'm concerned about this. I'm pretty sure that these things was part of the whole motion of leading up to actually putting on the card. So, if they can't really say anything or anything like that, it was just part of the contract. But, from what I saw, and I didn't even buy it.
I don't know. Didn't somebody test positive this week on this card?
Jacare's camp, two of the members of Jacare's camp had tested.
I thought he tested as well.
I think he did too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think all three of them did.
And he was taken off the card. So...
yeah, but wasn't the thing that he tested, and by the time they found out he tested, he was already around people, officials that was going to be on the card?
I don't remember it. I don't remember the entirety of the article, but
most of the people that he had come into contact with were already in situations where they had gloves and masks. Like, there was a lot of preventative checking. Now, I don't know from a media standpoint who was involved with him or not, you know what I mean? But like any officials or doctors or attending physicians or UFC medical personnel or corners, they were all geared up the whole time. I mean, they took every precaution. Once a fighter had reached a certain point in the promotion, they were like essentially forced to practice the most strictest of social distancing. So, they did a good job from that perspective. But
do we see it
it's
as
scary.
a success?
It's scary.
Do we see it as a success so that we as boxing community and the people that were, because this is like this test experiment right here, in a sense, right? And to me it was a success. I guess the only thing that people are probably going to try to keep under wraps is, and I don't know if maybe this is part of the whole disclosure, like after the fight, I'm pretty sure people are going to get tested afterwards. I mean, I would want to, just in case, and see how many people are going to test positive afterwards. That's when I probably would have a somewhat of a problem, I guess, with the non-disclosure agreement, because then you wouldn't know if people, and I mean mainly the fighters that are going into these fights, are coming back out with testing COVID positive.
Yeah, no, I think it's got to be looked at as a success. I mean, from the social media postings and just the quality of the fights and the fact that the crowd didn't really take me out of it. Now, I will admit that I did have a neighbor come over and watch it. It was me, my brother, and a neighbor. My brother lives with me. We all sat very far apart. He sat on the opposite side of the room from us. My brother sat on the opposite side of the room from him. We sat on the same side. So, we talked, we discussed, and that probably helped. I was going to watch this thing alone in my room. I mean, with my wife, but she wasn't going to watch it. Some headphones. I don't know what that would have felt like. And I've done that before. And the crowd helps. You know what I mean? I don't feel alone watching it. But maybe if I was alone, I would have felt that way. So I can't speak to that. All I can say is that the crowd, or lack of crowd, I guess, didn't take the fights away from me. So for me, it was a success. And I think that no matter what feelings you have towards the UFC, and I'm talking about Bob, I'm talking about Steven, I'm talking about, a lot of these guys, and whether those points are fair or not, I think you still have to look at them and take what they did and look what they did. And what they did was put on a very, very high level promotion, used their biggest stars, and successfully generated a pay-per-view. What those numbers end up being, we'll find out. But
they said that the pre-buys were pretty high.
Were they?
He said that they almost doubled or whatnot. That was something along the lines of that. But you know what? Now that you're mentioning the whole crowd thing, and I've obviously been watching a lot more boxing than MMA now these days, so maybe I would feel a little different. But who knows, right? Let me just get to my point. I'm rambling. The crowd, Dick. You're saying that it didn't take nothing away from the fights from you, but in a way, man, it did take some of that fucking pizzazz out of it, like that celebratory energy, that crowd energy, and it's like we can't just look away from it that simply, because when you said that, I was like, you know what, it didn't affect the fact that now I could literally like act as a judge. Like, it was so much easier for me to judge a fight, because it's like you don't have that and like certain fighters feed off that energy, and like you'll see them rally and like come up from under and grapple and come out on top, and it's just that energy effect was missing to me. Just that the fight was a lot cleaner, I guess. I felt like I was a judge for a second. Some of the prelims, you just feel like a judge.
Wait. So you pay for this shit, Doomy?
Nah, bro. You know me, man. I'm looking. First of all, the prelims.
Whoa, let's chill out there, lawyer. You got a wire on or what?
Yeah,
come on now. We don't have questions like that.
I'm just saying. I did not watch that. Like I didn't like no one on it. Who was the big name on the card? Like, who was the main event?
Tony Ferguson versus Gaethje. Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
Bro, Tony Ferguson was supposed to win.
He was gonna fight Khabib.
Listen,
Khabib got pulled.
That is so irrelevant that it didn't even make it to my timeline, right? And my timeline is strictly boxing, obviously, but I'm talking about the Boxing Voices IG, right? And that didn't make it. And usually MMA makes it there. Like Heather Hardy, whoever she fought, made it there. Obviously,
she never
McGregor.
made it to the UFC though. She never.
Who?
Yeah, Heather Hardy.
No. What I'm saying is the news of it. The news of it, like the people that I follow posted it. I didn't notice anything, honestly. Man, I'm shocked you guys pay for that. Wow.
Why you keep saying pay for it? Yeah, I love when he does
Yeah,
this.
I know. First of all, hey, I think Blog Talk something happened. Second of all, yeah, look, I know if I I have a friend who paid for it. I have a friend who didn't pay for it. My whole thing is this: it was the only thing to pay for. It wasn't competing against anything else. I think the NBA Finals from last year were on ABC or ESPN or I don't even know what. No, they definitely weren't on ESPN. They showed the prelims. And so, like, it didn't have anything to go against. But listen, it was a great card. It was a great card. It had 2 title matches. One of them was interim, but it still had 2 title matches. And it produced fireworks. The fights were great. It was entertaining.
Dude. Don't repeat yourself, man. You guys watched it. You guys enjoyed it all.
Yo,
good.
Tony Ferguson's face looked like it went through the mincer.
I was just going to ask, do you think there's an equivalent of me out there in MMA? You know, since I only care about boxing, do you think there's MMA guys that's like, there's no MMA on, oh, there's this boxing match, but I ain't watching that.
Yeah. They got
Oh
a
yeah,
couple of good
definitely.
MMA guys out there, man. They're
Yeah, you got
strictly
some
MMA.
hardcore MMA guys that are
They'll
like,
be like, "Come on, you coming over here with your boxing? That's not all fighting.
Okay.
no, that's
'Cause
one. That's one thing.
That's one art. That's like you with one hammer. I got the."
I'm just wondering how that works, you know? Like, what do they do? What do they do when they don't have a big fight on? But yeah, I did lose you. If you can guess, I lost you.
Yeah, that's the little sound from. It's the fucking disconnect sound and shit. The clue.
Yeah.
But champ. Man, it was to me a successful event. It gives me hope for our sport to go ahead and throw these fights and make them safe and take the precautions and all this stuff, man, because
events with fans start happening again. So everything's slowly starting to turn. You know what I mean? Like my gym's opening up a week from Monday. Spence and Maurice Lee. You know, we need to put on something more than just our top fighters. Showcase fights. You know, we can put on some very interesting fights that don't, you know, break the bank, but at the same time aren't so one-sided, you know. And here's the thing: we're already handicapped. We already have our I should say we're already handcuffed because fights between international fighters who live internationally can't happen with American fighters. You know, they're already talking about the Jamel Herring fight, and Carl Frampton and what they're going to have to do with that. And Jamel Herring is going to be one of the guys that ends up fighting on this top rank card. I think the first one, if I'm not mistaken. I did read a couple of other guys that think they're going to fight on the second and third top rank cards, but nothing's been confirmed. Actually, what Top Rank said is that they're not supposed to give any official words until this week, maybe by tomorrow, but probably Tuesday or Wednesday is more likely. But yeah, so.
You know, we keep talking about breaking the bank, right? Ness, maybe you could chime in on this. Like, who are we supposed to give these fights to if, you know, promoters are going to keep having a problem with these gate numbers? You know, do we give these fights to contenders and, you know, maybe promise them more to come when things go back to normal? That way these promoters don't feel as though.
What do you mean by give these fights to?
You know, like if you're not as a promoter, you don't want to throw this big fight because you're going to lose numbers at the gate. And, you know, you still want to put on shows during this time, obviously, and we don't know how long it's going to last. So, like, who do we give these fights to where promoters are not feeling like they're breaking the bank?
I read an article, or rather a headline, where it said that fighters are they're exposable, man. Like, if you don't want to fight, they're moving on to the next guy. I even seen an interview with Bob that said that. It's like, it's a different time. The same way when Al Heyman came into the game throwing people money and he raised the market just is no different than the crash of the real estate. We just took a hit. So promoters are going to, obviously they're going to say and play up this time. They're going to be like, yo, we can't get no live gate. I can't pay you what I used to pay you.
So the smaller shows are gonna be the ones that are gonna stick around. Then I mean, I'm figuring, right? I'm trying to follow.
I don't know about smaller shows because you might not get a Crawford to fight because they can't afford to pay him without an arena, but you get, freaking 20 prospects. You get Edward Belanga. You get everybody from Top Rank. You don't get Crawford, but you get Herring and then Belanga and then Adorno. Like any of their prospects, Sonny Kanto, like they got work to put out.
And in your opinion, like, does that remedy that factor, that worry that these promoters are having, that like, we want to hold off on these big fights? Some of these fighters too also want to hold off on these fights.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously they need to just put something on to start getting real numbers. I wouldn't go with my biggest fight first. It doesn't sound smart, but you put on a couple of you can't. They can't even go to venues yet. But Madison Square Garden theater event level fights.
The small theater
event level fights. So you put a few of those on just to feel things out. But they can't sell tickets right now. This is studio only. So we could be wrong. They could be having a fixed budget. But that still is the same thing. Bob still said that, they're not paying what they used to pay. And some of these guys already saying they want more to pay without fans.
Well, and some people are saying that they understand that they can't get that the money's changed. Look, I promise. Well, I'm not going to promise because I don't know. But I can tell you that my gut feeling says the issue is going to be fighters calling the promoters to get fights and wanting to fight ASAP, as opposed to promoters not being able to find fighters that want to fight during this time. We're going to have guys. Now, will there be maybe a handful here and there that can afford to sit out? The big names that say, I'm not fighting right now. I'm chilling. Like, I'm too good. Like, call me when the fans come back. Yeah, we might have a couple of those, and then we'll go on to the next one, like Ness said. But I really think that more what we're going to see is guys, if we don't have as many fight cards for these guys, we're going to start seeing guys complain about not being able to fight, saying, I'll fight anybody. I'll fight anybody right now. I'll fight anybody for $200 tonight. Give me something. Like, I want to fight. I need to fight. It's in my blood. It's something that I do. It's what I was born to do. It's what I've been doing since I was a kid. And also, it's what I do to pay the bills. It's what I do to feed my kids. It's what I do, so that my wife don't have to work 3 jobs or, whatever it is. These guys have to get back in the ring. And I honestly believe that they're going to fall into the same category that a lot of people are in right now, where there's not enough work. And so we're going to get cards and guys are going to go back, but they're going to be pounding down the door. Y'all ever see Cinderella Man? Y'all know that scene where he's trying to get work at the docks, right? And there's like a crowd of dudes just like me, me. And that dude's like, I need 4 guys. 1, 2, you know what I'm saying? And so that's a great scene. But at the end of the day, the point I was trying to make is I honestly feel like that's what we're going to be getting in this sense with the fighters. Is we're going to have all these fighters lined up, ready to fight, not enough cards to put them on. And it's going to be a situation where we're like, give me him and I'll take him. And obviously they're going to have to pick guys that can sell, or not sell, but necessarily attract a crowd on TV. But ultimately it's going to come down to, what's best for business. And so some guys aren't going to be able to get on the cards, which is a shame.
Man. Yeah, man. So any news and notes?
News and notes.
There was the one that I sent you, but I had asked you if you thought it was. Yeah, I was asking it. I didn't know if you thought it was worth it, so I didn't put it on there.
Oh,
Klitschko, the Klitschko one was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, look, man, we could go to the callers, and we could. I don't mind the Klitschko. We could do that right now if you guys want to talk about it, or you want to leave it for the morning or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's up to y'all. I don't mind leaving it for the morning because I'm not really sure what you're talking about. So unless you want to,
unless you want to like cover Joseph Parker and Lucas Brown real quick for August.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah. Oh man, I think I left that off the note. I don't hate that fight. Real quick, I get why you're laughing and it is funny, but I don't know. I've always just liked Lucas Brown. He's got a look that's like, yo,
scary.
is this man gonna? Scary. It's like, is this man gonna go in there and like start eating the next opponent, like biting him and shit? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen with this dude, but he's not the best fighter. I'm not saying that, but he's just marketable, I guess, to me.
I mean, the guy gotta have heavy hands, like they said in the article, because 25 knockouts, 29, wins, and he has an 80% KO. That's gotta mean something. But I mean, I never seen him, against a tough guy and win. So. I don't know what much to say. He fought James Toney back in the day. I don't know how old Toney was at that time, but record was 74-7, so he must have been on his way out. So I never got excited for Lucas. They're saying that he's a good domestic British fighter and that, could do something like that over there. Parker, man, I don't know. He's I mean, how do you feel about him facing a Lucas Brown? I mean, let's just say that COVID wasn't around. I mean, would it matter?
I mean, it wasn't a bad fight when I seen Lucas Brown was supposed to fight Oda Wallen. So, look, man, you got to retire these old guys. You can't get mad at them for getting, opportunities. These opportunities are coming because they've been able to build some kind of name for themselves in this boxing world, and that's why the Oda Wallens and the Joseph Parker still want to fight him. Do they think it's a winnable fight for themselves? Obviously, but they also know that it's a decent sized paycheck attached, and a guy that at least is known.
This fight happens in Australia, you think?
I thought they said New Zealand. No.
Yeah, that's Joseph Parker's backyard.
Well, that's where it's going, bro. It's not gonna happen in Lucas Brown's hometown. He ain't the A side. He ain't got the pool.
I just never heard of a real big fight in New Zealand, so I just got excited about Australia because I know Jeff Horn has done big numbers over there, and they stick up for this.
New Zealand, Australia. I mean, it'll happen because of Joseph Parker, but I don't know that it'll end up happening there. Like. These are preliminary talks. If this becomes serious and Eddie Hearn get involved like he should because he is the promoter of Joseph Parker, like why would this fight be in New Zealand? How many hour difference is it for America? Remember, the money's most likely coming from Dazn unless it makes financial sense for the money to come from Sky solely and this be a UK pay-per-view. But I don't know that Joseph Parker, an Australian a New Zealander and Lucas Brown, an Australian, is going to be a big UK pay-per-view in London. So, yeah. I don't know.
Well, how do you fancy Joseph Parker versus Junior Fa? That was another name they threw in there. And
yeah, it's the same thing as those. These are preliminary talks because Joseph has a co-promoter by the name of David Higgins. So he's out there doing his job. He's out there doing his job. That's all. He's talking to Fa's people, but this has come up numerous times and it's never happened. But
you met Junior Fa though, right, Ness, over there at the Wilder camp?
Yeah.
Well, how do you fancy him against the likes of Parker?
No, I mean, I think Fa is good, but Parker's been on the stage, man. He's been a world champion. It sucks for Fa, but I get the business move in it. It's like, yo, you jump up to Parker out of nowhere. If you lose, it's okay because he's a world champion. He was a former world champion. Not okay, but you could bounce back versus, stepping up to Amir Mansour, and losing to him.
And Junior Fa is also a New Zealander.
Yeah,
I don't know if does that make it a more appealing fight domestically?
I mean, domestically, yeah, but I just don't know where the money's gonna come for that fight. Like that's gonna be a DAZN fight because of Parker. And listen, even Fa speaks very good English. He's tall. He's cool. He's got a TikTok. Y'all should follow him on Instagram. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it. Look, I think that Joseph Parker's in that rebuilding stage. You know, he was a guy who I think people had high hopes for. And he's gotten a shot. He's been able to take a shot and not come up successful with it. But I don't think that throws him out of any sort of rankings or runnings. You know what I mean? So he's got to get the fights that make the most sense for his way back up the top. He's got to be very methodical, you know, to be jumping from he's not the kind of fighter, in my opinion, that can handle jumping from the biggest fight to the biggest fight. And there are very few guys that can do that, period, especially at a heavyweight division where everybody is big enough to hurt you.
Junior Fa's a big puncher too. I don't know. I see these younger guys that trying to make a name for themselves, being in the perfect situation right now to get an opportunity. Guys like Lovejoy, guys that are, you know.
I mean, Junior Fa was accused of outpricing himself.
Oh, really? Against who?
Parker.
Arthur Szpilka?
Parker.
Oh, Parker. Sorry. I mean, how do you do that though? Who's managing Junior Fa, and how do you outprice yourself against a guy like that? It must have been something that they thought that he wasn't ready. I mean,
DeBella is his promoter. I don't know who's his manager. But yeah, let's open up the phone lines, man. It's because we don't have any more notes. And it looks like Mario dropped off too. I don't know. I think it's internet. I'm telling you, you guys saying it's me.
They shooting us down like Galaxy over here, bro. I got my Ethernet on, so I'm on point today.
Stun.
These calls are brought to you by El Camino Electrical Services, experts in electric vehicle charging stations. For consultations and turnkey installation, visit us at elcaminoelectricalservices.com.
Remember to rate us 5 stars on iTunes.
All right. Let's go out to Sony. What up?
Hey, I apologize about that, TBV. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Loud and clear.
Oh, nice. Happy Mother's Day to all you gentlemen and your mothers, respectfully. And I just wanted to say about the Floyd Mayweather topic that you guys led out the show with. You know, unless Floyd Mayweather is talking about Manny Pacquiao, I'm really not a fan of Floyd Mayweather coming back, and I am a true Floyd Mayweather fan. I just think the risk is way too high. I don't care what happens with Spence and Crawford. If it blows up, then everybody starts screaming for Floyd and Floyd get that itch again. Nah, unless it's Pacquiao, I don't want him coming back. And if he does come back and fight, I'm even tired of the whole MMA thing. And I'm not sure which one of you hosts was talking about the Tenshi fight. But yeah, I mean, I didn't even watch that fight. I watched it on YouTube when that shit came out afterwards, because it's like, dude, like what are you out here doing? Like, dude, just stop it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So I definitely agree. I like Floyd as a trainer. I want to see what he does. You know, I know it may take years because he said it himself that he's going to have to start from the ground up. So I'd rather see Floyd in that aspect, you know, to see what he become as a trainer, you know. So, you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, once again, happy Mother's Day to all y'all moms respectfully, and shout out to the Bat Channel. Peace.
All right. We're going out to Trey in the Bay. What up?
Can y'all hear me?
Yep. How are you?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
We good.
Shit, man, I was moving around. Y'all was having some crazy sound issues, but I'm with Sony on that. Floyd needed to train and get his ass away from the ring. What else we had? I was going to watch that MMA card, man. I forgot all about that shit last night. I was doing a bunch of other stupid shit. Was it good, Doomy? Mario?
What, the battle?
Yeah,
no,
MMA.
The MMA card y'all watched.
Oh yeah, nah. You know what? I didn't see the whole thing. That's what I was trying to tell Ness. I was just getting like little clips and some of the prelims I saw, but some of the highlights
Yeah,
that I
was it
saw
weird
was
with no fans? Was
nah,
it
no
weird with no
fans,
fans?
man. And that's the only thing that was lacking was that energy, like that energy that you get, when
Yeah.
the fighter wins and like he runs up to the cage and hops on, and all that energy was kind of missing. But I felt like I could score the fight
Yeah.
better.
Oh, okay. It was like no outside influence.
Nah, definitely.
From
I was like a
crowd,
judge.
no crowd influence. Yeah, yeah. Shit. What else we had, Joe?
Well, we had Derrick James, Spence's trainer saying that the money wasn't quite right yet for the Crawford fight.
I've heard Crawford say the same thing too. So I mean, that's 50-50 on that. Maybe they not lying about it. I don't think we're gonna get that immediately. Anyway, right after Corona, I think they got to rebuild a lot and see what's going on. But shit, I'll take whatever sports I can get right now, y'all. That's my call.
I agree, man. See, I don't think a fight of that magnitude is something that we're gonna get coming off of Corona, man. People need to understand we're gonna get, no frills cards at first. They got to test the waters and check out the market. They're not just gonna, lose their money. But New Jersey.
Just like the king is what I mean. The king is what I mean.
Yo, TBV, what's good, family?
Man, what up?
Happy Mother's Day to all the
The king,
listeners, all the
king of
beautiful.
Essex. What up, champ?
Oh man, I'm chilling, man.
I think he's
King?
cutting off.
Mother's Day, happy, whatever. But right to it, Floyd's prospects. I don't think he should come back. It's nothing for him to come back. You know what I'm saying? I think it fuels too much speculation. I mean, for the fight game, you know what I'm saying? I think it always going to draw in the general casual viewer. But at some point, he's got to just take us. It's like Jordan coming back. Like, do we want him on the Wizards? We want him on the Bobcats? Let him train. Let him advance to another level of game. Let him get better at promoting fighters. Let's not have Floyd come back. Caleb Plant and Benavidez, I don't know what they doing, but everybody doing a lot of talk. Somebody better get their ass in the ring and fight. Yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Appreciate the show. Listen, I'll be at it with y'all fellas tomorrow. I'm out.
All right. Yeah, man, it seems like everybody got the topic a little bit confused. Floyd is saying that he's not coming back, that he doesn't want to end up like Uncle Roger. But landlord, what up? Gotta unmute, champ.
Are you there?
All right, just listening. We going to Majid. What up?
Hey, what up, what up? Everybody needs to like the video. Shit, real quick. Yeah, Mayweather talking about he don't want to come back because he don't want to end up like Roger Mayweather. I agree with that 100%. If he feeling like that, then I mean he don't need to hop into nothing because something bad could happen. But that Caleb Plant Benavidez, man, I've been itching for that, so I hope they could work something out and make that happen soon. And real quick about that MMA yesterday, I ain't no MMA fan, but I watched the card or whatever. And I always watch my stuff on mute because I don't like listening to commentators and everything. So to me, like, I ain't even, it was action, and the way that they had it cut, I felt like, it was what it was for MMA. They had a little good night, but yeah, man. I hope that boxing see something. I hope you could get Bob Arum on so we could see like what's his opinion and something. Cause I think that boxing could do it too, man. And we got better technique than them all day. Whoever say MMA good, they crazy. Boxing got it all day, but that's all I got, man.
All right. We got Stonebone, Colorado. Talk to me.
What up?
Good evening.
Yeah, I don't think they listen to Floyd's interview. I mean, he was talking about he don't want to end up like his Uncle Roger and a lot of different things, man. He wasn't talking about like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to come back and fight. So maybe some people should go back and listen to that interview. He did some that was some honesty from a normally he was still a little arrogant, I mean, just because he know he great. But normally he's a lot more arrogant, but he was humble. And he said it like, I don't want to come back and be like my Uncle Roger. He just watched his Uncle Roger.
A little Cuddy.
Yo, we lost you. We lost you. He just lost. He just watched his Uncle Roger.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he just watched his Uncle Roger, man. He ain't trying to see that. And is Derrick James Earl Spence's manager or just his trainer?
Man, as far as I know, just a trainer.
Just his trainer. So I'm glad that my favorite fighter's trainer and manager, Bomac is his co-manager. Him and Bomac are his own managers. I'm glad they talk like fighters. I'm tired of hearing Derrick James sounding like he a goddamn manager running around. Oh, the money, this.
We losing you again. I don't know what's up with Skype today.
Pretty sure he's an advisor of some sort.
All these guys, but he a politician when it comes to Terrence Crawford. So tell him to take a seat, man. Talk like that, man. It's like, is you his trainer or is you his manager?
Yeah, I mean, he gonna look out for the best interests of Earl, right? You know, and he's gonna want to maximize.
Out with his hands down. Can he give me some type of explanation how his fighter beat Bud Crawford and quit talking like he a promoter or a manager always talking about money? I don't think Derrick James want that fight. Maybe he know it's too risky. Maybe he know Earl lose. And I'm done, man. I'm disgusted, man. I'm tired of these managers. Hey, and the no audience, it sounds good in theory, but as I watch it, I don't feel the gratification for the fighters. You know what I mean? I know some fighters fight for a check, some fight for the fans and a check. I don't know if the experience is going to be the same, so I think it's going to only be prospects and low-level guys that fight like that. I don't see big guys that got any pull in their career, you know what I mean, going in there like that. Maybe some guys who desperate for a check, who ain't been getting paid or ain't invested right, they might do it, but the guys who got money and who've been getting high seven-figure paydays, I don't see them saying, nah, I don't want to do that. It just don't. It didn't feel right, man. It felt like they was hostages being forced to fight. Like, then somebody tested positive. One of the fighters tested positive. So I don't know, man. This might not be the brightest idea. I'm willing to wait till fall to get boxing before I rush in to some suspect-looking stuff in the summertime. Maybe some prospects or some...
Nah, I hear you, man. Let me get to Sony on the counterpunch. What up, Sony?
Hey, yo, Ness, man, I just wanted to clarify my earlier call. I mean, I don't want nobody to get it twisted. I mean, I heard the start of the show, and it's not like I didn't understand the topic. It's just that, so what are we talking about here? We're talking about, the only reason we're talking about Floyd because somebody obviously broached that question to him in some realm or form. Now, I'm saying I don't even care if it's an MMA fighter. I don't want to see Floyd in the ring against anybody. So I just don't understand, like, why do we still get these quotes from Floyd if somebody is not broaching that question to him?
Well,
so
he specifically said that if he does fight McGregor, it's business and entertainment, but he'll never fight another boxer. Like, that's out.
Yeah, I know, but everybody remembers the last Conor. I mean, can we honestly say that fight was entertaining? The build-up was entertaining, but the actual fight itself was not. So what are we talking about here? Just to see Floyd in a ring? Come on, man. I'm more hardcore
to be honest with you. I would need to see it over. I remember it entertaining. I remember entertaining the build-up, the fight. I was like, oh shit, Floyd getting punched. Like,
yeah, that's what had me like, oh shit. It was entertaining, and that's what I wanted. But I see where Sony coming from because the hardcores always come out, man, and it's like, what do you?
Honestly, dog, hardcores are like 250,000 people. Think about it, man.
We're like the Spartans of the sport of boxing, all right?
I guess those numbers are because of the freaking illegal streams. But paying, we only like $250,000 paying, man. We only $250,000 paying. We the guys that bought Crawford, Postal, Crawford, Khan, Earl, Porter, Bradley Marquez, Baby Bull, Marquez, like the little fights. Those are the hardcores, man. I don't know. But let me see. We got Steve in Chicago jumped on. Steve, what up?
Yeah, hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, lately there's not a whole lot of topics to get into, but yeah, man, the UFC, I can't do it, man. I can't watch it. It just, I'm like you, Ness. It just, I can't get into it. So I didn't tune into it. But when you guys were talking about the Latin stars, what did you guys then bring up Ryan? Don't you think Ryan is also in that conversation when you was talking about like Tiafimo and them other guys?
I could definitely see him in that conversation where he appeals to more than just the Mexican, Latin, and every or all Latins. Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Because I think like I was telling you like a long time ago, like if they do him the right way, he could be really big within that community for sure. He might just have to learn to speak Spanish a little better. That's all. But anyways, yeah, there ain't a whole lot. I ain't got much to say on the other ones. I wanted your thoughts on that. But I got a good question for you tomorrow. I'll let that be for tomorrow.
All right, Steve. Well, see you on Untitled in the morning show.
Bye.
Let me see. We got Getty Harlem.
Oh shit, Getty. Yo, Sony Woods sent me the Ghost contract. Trying to get me to battle Getty, man. I don't know what's going on, Ness. You need to handle that, though. You the manager.
I mean,
I'm getting calls from promoters, man.
Do Sony represent greatness all of a sudden? Let me see then. We went down. Said all right, boom, boom. Landlord trying you again. Make sure. All right. Trey in the Bay Boomerang. Just listening on the last call, Trey. Going once.
Trey in the Bay.
Twice.
Give it to Stonebone.
Stonebone, what up?
Oh, yeah. And, yeah, I think that boxing can pull it off, man. I just don't want to. I don't know if we're going to be satisfied with what we're seeing. I think we're about to get basically, I ain't going to want to say fixed fights, but we're going to get basically fights that we guarantee that we're going to know what's going to happen. I very much doubt that we're going to get a Tank versus Leo or anything of that magnitude without no crowd. It's just, I don't see what is going to be gained, not for a top level fighter. Maybe big ratings. You know what I mean? Maybe some guys that do it for big ratings. But besides that, I just don't see the benefit actually for the fighter. You know what I mean? It makes sense just for that check. I mean, without the check, it don't do nothing for you. And Dana White, I like his aggressiveness, man. I like him putting these boxing promoters and managers on they sitting still. I like him checking them. You know what I mean? We got to keep putting pressure on them. Because these dudes are comfortable. They're not going to give us what we want because they're comfortable. They doing what they want to do. They putting on the fights they want to put on, and they making money. So they not finna give us what we want. So we need people like Dana White and some small promoters to start like making some noise. And Plant Benavidez sooner than later. I'd rather see that before I see Charlo move up and fight Benavidez. I think Plant has the slickness to outbox him. Benavidez is flat-footed. He comes in even the fight night real heavy. So how much slower do that make you? He got in and out body work.
You cut off on how much slower does that make you?
Yeah.
that weight, don't that, I mean, it got to have an effect on you. When you fighting smaller guys that can't move, maybe you can lean on them and use your weight to your advantage. But a Caleb Plant, they got the sweet hands, the sweet skills, and he's a boxing scientist. He's gonna be ready for him to try to lean on him. Coach Wade ain't gonna have him not in shape. So I don't think just that weight is gonna make a difference against Caleb Plant. So I think Plant beats Benavidez just because his feet are too flat. You seen Darrell move on him and stop and stick, and Benavidez was right there, but he was just too big for him to get hurt. So I'm picking Plant in that fight a lot easier than people think. Peace.
Real quick, Stonebone, you was talking about how you like the fact that Dana is kind of checking these promoters. How you feel about him telling Espinoza and Arum that they're too broke to put on fights? Stonebone did.
We know they're not broke. But they not liquid. There's a difference. He liquid. You know what I mean? He's sitting there with a pocket full of cash with people money he's spending. But he can't talk too much because him and Bob is in the same place. ESPN is the bankroll behind all the words they saying. So they answer to the same boss. So I don't know what he really means when he talking about Bob. They both in the same boat. Only difference is he was the owner of UFC. He sold it, got $1 billion. So he's sitting on a potload of his personal cash, not really business cash. We don't know the UFC finances. We know his though.
Yeah, he got 10% of the UFC.
Brilliant. All right, man. I'm gonna catch y'all in the morning on Untitled, whatever's next.
All right. Well, that is it. My name is NesGTO. Catch us in the morning time, Instagram and Twitter. Peace.
And again, this is Alex Doomsday Linus, Alex_Doomsday_LAI, and he's on IG, Twitter, Alex Linus TBB, Facebook, Alexander Linus, and we will be back in the morning. You know, tomorrow's Untitled. You know, you get to kick it with the fellas. And again, we wish all the mothers out there a very happy Mother's Day to all. Bless.
Bless. Peace. Bye-bye.